Hi, my dear students. What's up? What's up? Welcome to my research channel. Today, we will talk about our new lesson. Guess what? We will be talking about scientific attitudes. So, what are the goals of our discussion? First is to define scientific attitude. Second is to identify the different scientific attitudes. And third, recognize the importance of scientific attitude in science or in doing research. But what exactly is scientific attitude? Scientific attitude is a logical way of thinking clearly, reasonably without any disturbance or prejudice. Scientific attitude is an attitude that the scientist should possess. It is a set of attitudes that the student studying science or research should also possess. To add from that, scientific attitude means not accepting any such fact or information which does not have any proof or evidence. Scientific attitude is an argument that makes science distinctive, is its emphasis on evidence and scientists' willingness to change theories on the basis of new evidence. Scientific attitude is the most important outcome of science teaching and which enables us to think rationally. Scientific attitude is a combination of many qualities and virtues which is reflected through the behavior and action of the person. And to make you guys understand what really scientific attitude, it is an approach to investigation that benefits from certain traits. So, what do you think are these traits? So, we have here 10 scientific attitudes. Okay, let's start with the first one. The first one is curiosity. A scientist shows interest and pay particular attention to objects or events. He asks questions and seeks answers. So, talking about curiosity, it is the eagerness to know something. A scientist always tries to seek, inquire, and discover. So, are you guys curious? Let's have an example for that. Sir Isaac Newton, sitting under a tree, saw an apple fall to the ground, which prompted him to ask many questions. Why did the apple fall from the tree? What makes things fall? Can anything stop things from falling? Are the sun, moon, and stars falling? Why don't they ever hit the ground? Newton spent many years answering these questions by thinking and doing experiments. He later on formulated the law of universal gravitation. Next is intellectual honesty. A scientist gives a truthful report of observations. He does not withhold important information just to please himself or others. Intellectual curiosity or intellectual honesty is an attitude that allows a scientist to recognize the work done by other scientists before him or her. This attitude, guys, is also shown by reporting data truthfully. The scientist knows the truth and states the truth. And one best example for this one is Sir Isaac Newton acknowledged the fact that he builds his laws of motion, the law of inertia, the law of acceleration, the law of interaction, on the past works of Galileo and other scientists. Newton did not claim Galileo's discovery. Next scientific attitude is critical mindedness. A scientist bases suggestions and conclusions on evidences. When in doubt, he questions the veracity of a statement in relation to evidences presented. Critical mindedness, guys, so to elaborate this, it is the ability to judge the merit of something or the quality of something. A scientist is open to a new ideas and not one sided. Okay, so what's the best example for this one? Don't you know, guys, that Thomas Alva Edison was forced to leave school because he was not good in mathematics and he asked many questions. He would not accept everything the teacher would say without testing it and seeing it for. Another one is open mindedness. A scientist listens to and respects the ideas of others. He accepts criticism and changes in his mind if reliable evidence contradicts his beliefs. The willingness to search actively for evidence is open mindedness. So, we have here um, a discussion or an example. The willingness of a scientist to search actively for evidence against one's favored beliefs, plans, or goals, and to weigh such evidence fairly when it is available. So that's open mindedness. According to Albert Einstein, the mind that opens to a new idea never returns to its original size. What do you mean by that? New thoughts, new ideas permanently change our minds. Don't forget that. Next is skepticism. Skepticism is having an attitude of doubt. Do not accept things blindly without questioning. Developing the doubting attitude or develop the doubting attitude unless presented with reliable data. A skeptic person always believes in the saying, to believe with certainty, we must begin by doubting. Example of this one is in the late 1500s. Everyone believed Aristotle's claim that heavy objects fell faster than the light ones. That is, everyone except Galileo. So to test Aristotle's claim, Galileo dropped two balls of differing weights from the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And guess what? They both hit the ground at the same time. Galileo, guys, showed us that testing human claims should not be the mediator of all truth. Galileo is skeptic. He had developed habits of having to challenge what appeared to be reliable facts. He understood that testing assumptions over human authority led to greater understanding, innovation, and creativity. The next one is objectivity. A scientist is objective if he does not allow his feelings and biases to influence his recording of observation, interpretation of data, and formulation of conclusion. Obj- Objectivity, it is described as a lack of bias or judgment. It is important in science because it allows the discovery of the best explanation to a scientific question or hypothesis. An example for this one is James Watson and Francis Crick discovered the structure of the DNA. However, did you know that they would not have been able to discover the structure without the work of other scientists? There is a big contribution for their discovery, and one of that is Rosalind Franklin's initial experiment showed that the structure of the DNA was a double helix and not a triple helix. that is based from Rosalind Franklin's discovery using the X-ray crystallography. And she was able to caption that one as photograph 51, showing that DNA structure is double helix. And to continue with that, another scientist necessary for Watson and Crick's discovery about the structure of DNA was Erwin Chargaff. Chargaff did experiments to show how the different molecules in DNA strands pair together. If either Rosalind Franklin or Erwin Chargaff had not been objective about their results, Watson and Crick may not have made any progress with their ability to understand the structure of the DNA. Next is perseverance. It is the persistence and the tenacity, the effort required to do something and keep doing until the end. If it is hard, simply not giving up. So, the example of this one is John Gordon. At the age of 15, told his teacher that he would be a scientist, but the teacher says it's ridiculous. In 2012, he was awarded with the Nobel Prize with the discovery of mature cells can be reprogrammed to become pluripotent. Pluripotent means it has the capability of differentiating into one of the many cell types. And he was able to quote that if experiments or other things do not succeed at once, don't give up. Next is patience. It is the ability to overcome difficult situations without complaining. It is shown by the repeated attempts in conducting experiments in order to verify results. Patience is having an ability to work on long-term basis. And one example for this one is Thomas Alva Edison conducted more than 10,000 failed experiments. Imagine that. However, he did not give up. He quoted, "I have not failed. I just found 10,000 ways that won't work." And aside from that, he mentioned, "I never quit until I get what I am after for. I never did anything by accident, or did any of my inventions came by accident. They came by work." His positive attitude towards failure eventually led him to success. Next is humility. Humility is when a scientist is humble and he admits that he is not free from committing errors. He recognizes that there may be better ideas and realizes that there are individuals whom he may have to consult to arrive at the correct observation and conclusion. And an example for that is Michael Faraday, at the age of 13, began working as a delivery boy, leading to work as an apprentice bookbinder. A few years later, fascinated by science books, he was able to read in the bookbinding shop. He attended a lecture by the great chemist Humphrey Davy, and from that, he became Davy's scientific assistant and secretary. Michael Faraday discovered electromagnetic induction, discovered the first experimental link between light and magnetism, and he was able to discover benzene and carry out the first room temperature liquefaction of gas. And the last one is determination. Scientists are persistent in their endeavor. They are also firm in having self-confidence. And the example is Stephen Hawking. He is paralyzed and the computer talked for him. But his disability did not stop him to explain the secret behind the Big Bang Theory and revolutionized physics. So these guys are the scientific attitudes. These habits are important in everyday life and thinking, not only of the scientist or researcher, but of everyone. So check out for these references. So visit this website if you want additional information.